Shalom. 1 second. It's gonna be a quick video today. Quick and to the point. Giving y'all something to think about on this Think About It Thursday. You see the title, man, John 6. John chapter 6. Stop being carnal. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start at in John 6. We'll start around verse 25. Right? But first and foremost, man, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his son as an instrument of salvation for the nation, and that nation is Israel. Like I said, it ain't gonna be on here before you guys long today. I'm your brother Azrael alongside the brother Denal. And we're just gonna dive into John 6. Something that Christ said when I was reading. He said this, and it made me think of our people, man, because it was really kind of addressed to the disciples, right? A lot of times we read Christ and he's speaking to the Pharisees or the Sadducees, or he's speaking to the publicans, right, or people that are denying him. But this, I believe, he's speaking to the disciples. So I think we all need to pay attention to this as disciples or followers of Christ, right? We can get something out of it. This Think About It Thursday. So without further ado, let's jump into it. John 6, starting at verse 25.
And when they had found him on the other side of the sea, they said unto him, Rabbi, when camest thou hither?
Right. Do I want to start higher? All right, we can start from there. All right, verse 26.
Verse 26, Jesus answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled.
Right. This is powerful. This is pretty much the crux of the lesson right here, right? I'm gonna read some more, but keep this in mind, man. You know, Christ just fed the 5,000 or the 4,000, I can't remember in this passage, right? But he's saying, you guys were looking for me and you only seek me not because of the miracles you saw that the Father did through me, but because you did eat the loaves and were filled, meaning y'all had to have something physical happen to you for you to want me, right? Just like Thomas, right? Thomas, I think Thomas's surname was Didymus, right? Thomas, surnamed Didymus, right, was a disciple, and he said to the other disciples, I'm not gonna believe y'all until I put my hands in his side, and if I feel his palms where the nails went through, right? That's what Thomas said. And you know, Christ, he said, go ahead, Thomas, feel. He said, you having seen, believed, but blessed are those that have not seen and will still believe. So Christ right here is kind of chewing up his disciples, saying, hey, man, y'all want me for the wrong reasons, right? Because when we think about the wilderness, right? When we think about the wilderness and the children of Israel in the wilderness, we know how they was acting, right? Much like our people today. Oh, I'm thirsty. The Most High made water come out of a rock. Oh, I'm hungry. The Most High gave them bread out of the ground, right? Manna. But it's not enough for us. It wasn't enough for us to see the miracle that happened with the Red Sea. It wasn't enough for us to see all the plagues that happened in Egypt. We just are not happy until our physical needs are met. And we see that today, right? We see that today. You could be teaching, you could be preaching the gospel, but if it don't help our people right now, their feelings, their emotions, their desires right now, They don't want nothing to do with it. They don't want to hear it. We run across people that like that all the time. Hey, look, can you give me a job today, man? Well, I don't need to talk to y'all then. Y'all not sent to me then. Hey man, I hear what y'all talking about, but I'm hungry, man. Can y'all buy me some? Right? And when we say, brother, we got the bread of life for you. We got, we got the living water for you. They don't care. And even though it seems cliche, Christ is saying it, so it can't just be cliche. Our people have been like this from the beginning of time. We need something physical to happen to us. All right, let's read verse 27.
Con. The book of John, chapter 6, and verse 27. Labor not for the meat which perisheth,
Right?
but
All
for
this physical stuff is gonna perish. So don't do the work of the Father for the physical stuff. You see a lot of our people, man, they do it for the titles, they do it for the fans, they do it for the following, they do it for the accolades, they do it for the praise of men. Man, all that stuff gonna perish, right? They do it for the money and things they can buy with the money, right? And they make excuses like, well, David had money, Solomon had money, Abraham had money. The Most High dealing with me because he deals with people that he give money to, right? Labor not for the meat which perishes, right? Shalom to the brother Yeshaya.
Shalom.
Can you keep reading this?
con. It's the same thing for this the world that we live in too, man. If you think about it, a lot of people base their stuff off of or living for things that are gonna perish, like money, right? Um, they wait until they're mid 30s, early 40s to start living life, because they want they're waiting for to accomplish those 3 degrees and to have a set amount of to be making a set amount of money before they start having kids and having a family and stuff like that. And then a lot of times you realize when you start late in life, you're enjoying it and you kind of hate yourself for not doing it earlier, because a lot of times people's parents pass away, people's grandparents pass away, and don't even get a chance to meet your kids and stuff like that, man. When they had a chance, but a lot of us have been selfish and say, man, I'm not gonna start a family till at least I make a six figs. Till at least I'm making six figs. I'm not gonna start a family unless I'm able to get 3 cars and all of this stuff. I won't start a family till I turn 37 because I got a lot of life to live. I want to travel and all this stuff that's perishable that really don't mean nothing. And you don't even get to really taste the true essence of life, and that's being fruitful and multiplying, and having that family time, and that which really brings a value to living, right? Versus that money that really doesn't bring a value towards living. And we see it every day because people are still suicidal and stuff like that when they get the money, right? And not happy when they get the money, right? And that's one thing where we're advocates for is for just living life, man. Let life slow down and just live it and stop trying to chase things that are perishable, like the verse says, right?
Yeah, man. When you listen to any old head or anybody with wisdom, they'll tell you, man, it's about the long run, right? A lot of y'all young folks, man, y'all thinking about right now. What can this person do for me right now? What can I do? How can I get something right now? But they say think about the long run because this person may not be able to do nothing for you right now, but in the future they'll remember that y'all had that little interaction. It's called networking, right? And they'll tell you, man, use the barter system and do this for this person. You'll be thankful in the long run. Do this and do that. You'll be thankful in the long run. Meaning, stop thinking as the youth do, right, or our people do, and we only labor for if it benefits me. Like what Christ said, you don't seek me because of all the miracles I've done. You seek me because I was able to fill your belly with the bread that I gave y'all, right? Stop thinking about me, and think about the long run, even in this truth, right? Don't labor for physical things that'll perish. Labor for future, um, spiritual meanings, spiritual benefits, right? A lot of us, oh, I don't want to talk to that brother because I ain't gonna get nothing out of it. But you don't know, you don't know. You don't know who can teach you. And that's part of us not being humble. When you laboring for stuff that's gonna perish, you're not being humble. Because you can get gains from anything, anyone. You can you can find meaning from anything, right? You gotta be more spiritual than carnal. So that's why I said stop being carnal on the title, right? But can you pick up from but?
But for that meat which endureth until everlasting life, which the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him has God the Father sealed.
Right? So don't labor for the stuff that perish, but labor for Christ, right? Read this,
Then said they unto him, what shall we do that we might work the works of God?
right? How do we do that? How do we labor for that? Right?
Jesus answered and said unto them, this is the work of God, that ye believe on him whom he has sent.
Con. Right. So I want to skip now to verse 38. Well, let's go to 37. All right, read this.
For John 6:38, for I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me.
All right.
And this is the Father's will which has sent me, that of all which he has given me, I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day.
Right. The long run. We got to think about the long run. A lot of us, we ain't thinking about the last day. On our day to day, it's so easy to get fed up. On our day to day, it's so easy to get caught up. On our day to day, it's so easy to only think about what's going on right now, but we don't think about the long run, right? We labor for things that perish all the time, right? You know, some current events is that I forgot. I think it was North Korea was sending troops to Ukraine or something like that. You know, and we've had these proxy wars and all these things where it's scaring and building up to World War III. But I say that to say, man, you could be laboring for something that's gonna be finito, be done with. You know how many people was laboring to have careers and COVID just destroyed it, right? So don't labor for things that perish, man, physically and spiritually, right? Don't just be in this truth because it's getting you something that's gonna perish, that notoriety or the likes or you know, just labor for the long run, if that makes sense.
Con.
Con, it's the book of Sirach. Well, did y'all already read out of Sirach?
Nah, we've just been in John 6.
Con. Well, this is the book of Sirach. I'm gonna chapter 11. I'm gonna say verse number. I'm gonna start at verse 10. Right. It says, "My son, meddle not with many matters, for if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not attain, neither shalt thou escape by fleeing." Now we know what it is to meddle in many matters, you know what I'm saying, being involved in everything. But I want to apply this to the lesson that the brothers are giving, because you got to think about it like this, man. Like the brothers are saying, we live in a life where we trying to get a bag, you know, and uh of course all of us would love to, you know, have a decent, well, just speaking on money, just in general, all of us would love to be paid well. You know what I'm saying? All of us would love to have a good financial state of health, right? But in this sense, man, you got so many people out here that's trying to get the money that they're doing any and everything they can to get it, and now they're meddling in many matters, right? And what does it say? It says, "For if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent," meaning you won't be able to, you know what I'm saying, call yourself innocent in the day that the Lord sends that judgment, right? Because it says later on in this verse, neither shalt thou escape by fleeing. You're not going to be able to escape what's going to come upon thee for chasing the money in all the manners that you do, right? So you got to remember, like the brother said, the bigger picture, right? The end goal. Think about the long term. We're not trying to build wealth for my lifetime or the brother's lifetime. We're trying to build wealth for our children's children. And building wealth doesn't look like having, $6,000 chains on and driving a Bentley Bentayga, right? Building wealth looks like raising our children up in the right way, the commandments of the Lord, and breaking generational curses that have been in our people for decades and decades because they didn't want to follow the laws of God. That's the type of wealth that we want to obtain. And I know we say this a lot and it sounds cliche, but it's the most important aspect of, of the walk that we're on. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the most weightier matters of the law: judgment, mercy, and faith. Right. So with that, I yield.
And spiritually, we gotta build up the wealth because of the long run, right? You know, may the Most High receive that brother spirit that passed away not too long ago, the brother Uzziah. But it made me think, how many of us have been building up spiritual wealth for our future, right? Our kids, our wives, X, Y, and Z. I'm grateful that the Most High gave me a zeal to want to do videos ever since I came into the truth, because Lord forbid, if anything ever happened to me, right, my kids will still be able to see videos that I've done. They would be able to see my walk in the truth from the beginning until now, and certain beliefs that change and certain styles of teaching. They'd be able to get wisdom from their father, right? And that's because I'm not laboring for things that perish. I'm laboring for the long run. I'm not laboring for notoriety. I'm laboring just because of Christ. I'm laboring just because I know he did those miracles, not because it's making my belly fed. A lot of us, man, we get in this and we have visions of, and it's all carnal, right? And I can't say that thoughts have never came to my head on this walk, but a lot of us, we get into this truth and we labor for things that perish, like the fame, the notoriety, right? To where we get the supporters, and supporters are sending us money, and I can eventually quit my job because I can just do this truth full time and then start having fun. This truth ain't supposed to be fun, right? When you, even in the New Testament, it's going to tell you over and over again, it's not supposed to be fun. You read the Old Testament, it's not fun to be pushing this gospel, to be pushing this truth, right? It's not supposed to be fun. You're not supposed to be living your life and being like the world. You're not, right? All that stuff going to perish, because if you need to ask yourself, if I didn't have this, would I still be laboring for the Most High God and his son? If I knew that I'll never get to this status, will I still be laboring for the Most High and his son? Right. And I say that because when we go back to the scripture that we kind of led off with in verse 26, right? He was talking to his disciples, right? These wasn't naysayers or Pharisees, or these were people that followed him. And this is what he said, right? Read this one more time.
John 6:26, Jesus answered them and said, Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye seek me, not because ye saw the miracles, but because ye did eat of the loaves and were filled.
Right? A lot of people they laboring for things that perish. Right? Read verse 27 again.
Labor not for the meat which perishes, but for that meat which endureth unto everlasting life.
Right? Miracles are happening under your nose, man. Spiritually, he's making a way spiritually, and you're not even tapping into it because you're too worried about the physical things that are going to perish. Right?
Reaping the lust of your flesh, man. You know what I'm saying? Don't even mind the miracles that were going on. They're just happy that, they was hungry, their stomach was touching their back, and now, they fed. You know what I'm saying? They got them wings and fries. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't really even realize how the wings and fries got in front of them. They just happy that somebody paid for their food. You know what I'm saying?
Right, man. And then And that's why you have little faith when it's time to walk on water, because you done forgot about all the miracles. You so focused on the physical. And so Christ got to pull your card now when he asks you to walk on water, because he know that you so worried about the physical. He know that you going to worry about them waves crashing and you going to drown. When he just showed you a miracle yesterday, but he know that you too worried about the physical, and he know that you're not ready because your faith is little. Your faith is too small, right? And we got to have great faith, right? But I want to read this too, because when you read this book of John 6 and he's talking to his disciples, I want y'all, after he just told them all of this, right? How you think the disciples took it, right? Were they oh, you're right, Rabbi, Rabboni, Master. You're right, Christ. We'll follow you, and we'll start paying attention to the miracles that you set before us. That's what you would think that they would do, but this is what the disciples actually did. His followers. Let's see what they did. And a lot of times this happens to brothers, right?
John 6:66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
Right after they heard the teachings of Christ and the simplicity and the spirituality of it, they said, you know what, maybe that's not for me. If I can't get nothing, if it's not about what can benefit me right now, maybe I shouldn't be following you. And we see people fall out the truth all the time because they don't get nothing right here and there. It don't please their flesh. They want to labor for something that perish. And even when we tell them, hey, you know, I can't really help your situation right now because I'm struggling too. Well, I mean, if you can't help me, then I gotta get it by all means, right? We run into brothers and sisters all the time that want a right now God. I mean, all of us, we want a right now God, but the thing about God is He's not on our time, right? He's not a right now God. He's not. He's an on time God, but He's not a right now God. And a lot of our people, man, because He's not a right now God, they act like these disciples and they walk no more with them. They got to go to the crystals. They got to go to the universe. They got to go to the voodoo. They got to go to the tarot cards. They got to go to all these other things because those things are right now. But guess what? Those things will perish. Those things will perish. And we got to stop being carnal and think about the long run. We got to be spiritual, right? Read verse 67, because now he's talking to the 12. Because, a lot of people don't know. And it seems elementary, but there was more disciples than just the 12. The 12 was just, the 12, right? So these other disciples, they left, and then he had to turn to his 12, and, he had to ask this, right?
Then said Jesus unto the 12, will ye also go away?
Right? Because now he like, hey, look, I'm trying to tell y'all what it is. It's not glitz and glamour and luxury. Y'all see how humble I am, how meek I am, and how discreet I am. If y'all not built for this life, I gotta ask, will you also go away? So it doesn't matter how big a congregation or a camp or a church is, you're gonna have believers walk away from doing the work with you, right? But then you gotta ask yourself, am I gonna go away just because they went away? I'm gonna follow the multitude to do evil?
God, read the precept real quick. That's just like in the law, man. This is Deuteronomy 28. And it says, and the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart, right? And this is talking about those who were, scared to go against battle against your enemies, right? When the Lord went before you. And if you were scared, that's when that law came in, Deuteronomy 20:8. And that's just like how Christ asked his disciples, man. Sometimes you got to think like, in this life, man, it's so easy to walk away from the stuff that makes it complicated for us to get what we want, man. It's an easy thing because even in the truth, bro, and brothers, each brother up here can attest on this stage, man. As Rael said it earlier, the truth ain't necessarily meant to be fun, And that's not to say you can't have fun while being in the truth. You know, you can make fun out of any situation, but the difference is you're not coming on this side of life to live a super great, satisfying, fulfilling side of life on this side of life that we're talking about, which is earth. Because the way that we're supposed to live goes against what society wants for us. Society wants us to commit iniquity because that's how they get paid. And a lot of times people go from committing that iniquity to coming into the truth. So they may have that change of heart for a season, but then when they realize, oh shoot, man, this might be tougher than what I anticipated, they go back to the world. And you can't be that type of person that has a spirit to where when the going gets tough, you just quit and drop out completely. You know what I'm saying? We understand brothers may have moments of weakness, you know, but you gotta do what you gotta do to continue to have that faith and believe in the writings that we have in today's time, right? Like the brother said, like the brother asked Rayo today, I'm gonna put him on Front Street, man. He been doing good with his running. He went on a run today, man, and the run made him yield some strong words because throughout his run, he went up a lot of hills, right? And he tried to stick to the code of not trying to walk throughout his run. So he went up a lot of hills today, man. And he said, you know, it almost made me walk, but I made it barely. And a lot of people just so focused on not barely making it because they want to make it by a long shot. And if they feel like the truth is gonna hinder them in some way of making it by a long shot, they don't want it, bro. So we gotta have faith, like hell, you gotta have the faith that Brother Azrael had today on his run. You know, you gotta have the faith that Brother Denal got when it comes to drinking coconut water, right?
That leads me to read this precept too. What you just said, the faith to keep running, endurance, right? And then also this precept about if you're not up to the task, let them go home, right? And then also the precept that we just read where he asked the disciples, will you also go away, right? I want to read this account that mirrors the law when David came back and Ziklag was taken over and all the wives and all the jewels and everything was taken. Let me see here. Right. So after they came back, David wanted to get some troops together to go and get all their possessions back, their wives and everything. Let's see about it, right? 1 Samuel 30 and verse 9.
So David went, and he and the 600 men that were with him, and came to the brook Besor, where those that were left behind stayed.
Right. So 600 men that were with him. All right. Verse 10.
But David pursued, he and 400 men.
Hold up, 400 men? Because I thought he just said it was 600. Keep reading.
For 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor.
Right. So there's gonna be some of us, man, that's not gonna make it to the kingdom. You know why? Because they're gonna grow faint, right? And they're gonna be too exhausted to go over. And they're gonna walk away, man. They're gonna walk away from Christ when they lose all their possessions, right? Everything that perishes, they're gonna walk away, just like the disciples did. They're not gonna stay in the fight. 400 men was you don't think them 400 men was exhausted? You don't think they was ready to faint either? But guess what? They saw the long run and they saw the victory. They had faith in David and the Most High God. We got to have faith in Christ and the Most High God and think about the long run. Yeah, we beat down. Yeah, we oppressed. Yeah, we going through a lot.
Right? Yeah, it's taking a long time.
Yeah, it's taking a long time. And we just won this battle that we thought we wasn't gonna win. Yeah, we just came back from this journey that we didn't think we was gonna make it back in time for, to find out that we're in a deeper mess than we thought. Yeah. But guess what? When it's time, hey, it says you gotta always be ready, right? When it's ready to go to war against wickedness, you gotta go and get your possessions back. You can't be like this 200 that were ready, that were so faint they could not go over the brook.
Yeah, you know, endurance is a mug, man. You know, One thing I do when I run, I envision like w- whether I'm running a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, right? I always envision, man, this is 2 miles to get to the kingdom gates, right? I said, man, after I get done with these 2 miles, I can rest all I want to, but I just gotta make it to the gates, right? And sometimes when you're doing that 2 miles, especially when you run the track, man, you run 4 laps and you're like, dang, I'm just halfway and I'm already gassed. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you get halfway and like, man, this is too much, man. I just want to slow up and walk, right? Hey, nobody's making me run this. Nobody. I'm not in school. I'm not on a team where my coach is pushing me. This is just me out here by myself. I can walk if I wanted to, right? Ain't no shame in my game. But it's all about that endurance, like the brother was saying. How many of us are focused enough to set a goal and see it through, right? And in this case, we're talking about getting to the kingdom of heaven by doing this spiritual work. Some of us get tired out. Some of us actually look at ourselves spiritually, and I know plenty of people that have gotten gassed out in this walk, in this truth, and started walking, right? They went to the bleachers and sat down, right? They got tired, they got exhausted, right? They tapped out. They needed some water. You know what I'm saying? Instead of keep pressing ahead, keeping enduring, right? Sometimes they went back, instead of staying consistent with working out every day, right, and going to the gym like those New Year's resolutions. They stopped, man. They started going back, drinking a lot and doing all that stuff that's not beneficial for their. And I'm just talking spiritually here, right? I'm using carnal examples, but I'm talking spiritually, man. I know a lot of people that have done this in the truth, right? They was on a good stride. They started the race off strong, right? And then they just got gassed, right? They said, man, we're not even halfway yet. You know what I'm saying? Why is this taking so long? Life starts, they might start running and catch a cramp, right? What does that cramp look like? Relationship problems. You know what I'm saying? They catch a cramp, right? You know, where's some other things that might go wrong in a race or whatever, right? Um, but everything it might start raining or something like that, right? What does that look like? Financial problems. You got to push through all that stuff, man, just to get to that finish line. A lot of times, what I tell myself too is, I envision the kingdom gates at the end. But then a lot of times too, man, I'm just trying to envision how good that water gonna taste when I'm done. You know what I'm saying? And I can't drink that water until I'm done with my activity. And so that kind of fuels me too. But again, that just goes back to rest, right? We're gonna get our rest. You just gotta endure.
Right, endurance, man. If somebody could read the sisters precept, I'm trying to pull up this YouTube video real quick
I got it pulled up.
on endurance. If somebody could read it.
This is Sirach 33 and 14. It says, good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. I think she quoted that when we was talking about how the world wants us to commit iniquity because that's how they get paid. That's just like the precept in Proverbs where it says, "They that forsake the law praise the wicked, and such as keep the law will always contend with them." Something of that nature, and we have to keep that in mind when, you know what I'm saying, like we live in everyday life as an Israelite. Even when we post stuff on social media, even when we do the simplest of things, people always have something negative to say about Israelites or the Israelite community, man. And in so much that it's a video going around that the brothers from Sakari posted, and I think the brother just misquoted, Romans 4 and 5. And the Christian brother he was talking to took that one little mistake and posted it on social media. And I went to the Instagram page, and it was so many people in the comments like, wrong, confounded. I'm glad I left that community. They don't know the Bible, this, that, and the third. And they didn't even post the whole conversation. And to do that is very disingenuous. And it just goes to show that, when you live a life a set apart lifestyle, man, the one little mistake or the one little flaw you could have, they're going to glorify it, man. Just like anytime anytime you try to do the right thing on this side of life as pertaining to keeping the commandments, maybe you don't work on the Sabbath, maybe you know what I'm saying, refrain from drinking alcohol because you have certain spirits that come about when you do those things. Everybody's always going to find a way to pick at you because we're always contending with the ways of the world, the understanding that the world has, the lifestyle that the world wants us to live. But like the brother say, you just got to have that endurance and keep going. You know what I'm saying? I myself don't run like these brothers, but maybe in my time be coming where I start doing 5 miles a day, six
Listen to
miles a
me, bro. I will never run 5 miles a day, but it's all about setting that goal that you know you can complete. You know what I'm saying? I would never set no 5 miles for me. I know I'm gonna walk around 3.5, bro. So I would never set 5 for myself. You know what I'm saying? But the goals that I do, when a man does vow a vow, when I do vow a vow, I gotta see it through. So
slack
when
not to pay it.
when I set that 2 miler goal, what I'm saying, I'm gonna come through. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to find a video that I watched. It was an Edomite man on running, and an old Edomite was kind of giving his wisdom on how he runs marathons. Let me see if this is it. This might be it. Slovakia, man.
God, you good, man?
My yeah, I think this is it. Hold on. I'm gonna put it on the screen. My computer is acting choppy.
What
This
the
is
world?
riding on the ragged edge of existence, boundless and free.
Is it sharing on the screen?
Yeah, I mean, but it's lagging.
Is it sharing on the screen? Has it caught back up?
Press play.
The dream is different, but it has a common purpose to show us what might.
All right, I'm just gonna play the beginning of it. Fair use.
The amount of running you do. So the amount of miles, the amount of kilometers, week after week, you want.
And the brother Levi, we got a brother Levi on his story. He talked about this too.
The American dream doesn't require a college degree.
All these dang commercials, right? And on his story, what he talked about was, the Most High might not be putting you through something so you can make it out the other end victorious all the time. Paraphrasing, he was saying, sometimes the Most High just put you through something so that you can build endurance, right? He might sometimes just put you through something not to bless you with something on the other end, but he just trying to get you to have endurance so you can think back on that time that you were going through it and realize I made it through that, so I can make it through this. I made it through that period of time, so I know I can go longer, right? And that's called building endurance. And a lot of times we got to build our endurance in this truth, right? I want to play this real quick. Hold up.
For you, my hope in this video is the things I share motivate you to change your lifestyle and change your training practices so that you can become the fastest marathon runner or just become faster over time.
think that's the video.
Hi, my name is Eric Floberg. I go by Floberg Runs here on YouTube. And if you don't know anything about my history, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. In 2017, I ran my first marathon ever, and I came in just under 3 hours and 50 minutes. I had no idea what I was doing. I had some natural running talent. It came through the half in about 1:35 and some change, and completely got wrecked in the second half. The next year, I did not take training seriously. I took a job that I was on my feet for 10 hours the day before, and I ended up running just under 4 hours in a 3:59. Kind of the same story. Those two marathons were super frustrating for me because I knew I had so much more potential in running than what these times proved. And I just needed to understand and figure out what the marathon was. It took 2 years of getting humbled at the distance to really figure out that I need to do some research and figure out some basic things. So I applied some basic things first, and they are as follows. Some superficial things. I got a running watch. I still have the same one. It's like 5 years old.
I'll tell you that wasn't the video you was looking for.
Nah, the video I was looking for, it was a little bit more intense of a video. We don't need it. But pretty much what the video was saying was it was an older guy. He might have been like in his 60s. And he's running marathons. And he said, I'm quoting him, he said, you know, the secret to running is endurance. A lot of these young guys, they don't have endurance. You'll see them start from the starting line and their pace is too fast. And then come mile 3, mile 4, then when we get to mile 10, you start seeing the older men pass them up. It's because they don't have endurance. And he said the only way to get endurance is through experience and time. He said if you don't have endurance, you can't finish the race at a decent speed, right? And so a lot of times the things that we go through in life, man, they're not for the physical things that perish, right? They're for the spiritual things in the long run, which adds to our endurance. So Christ said, will you go away also, or will you also go away, right? Let's read verse 68.
Verse 68, then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life.
Right? Meaning there's nowhere else to go. The ones that's going to follow Christ, even though there's so many options out there, we only think of one way, and that is the shepherd, the good shepherd, right? Read verse 69.
And we believed and are sure that thou art that Christ, the Son of the living God.
Right? And that's how we have to be, man, when it comes to Christ. We got to be that same way, right? When we see others drop out of the race, when we see others stay home from the war, when we see others that are faint, right, and too tired, we got to say, hey, look, this is the only way. And this is not our land of our rest, right? Shalom to the brother Obadiah. But with that being said, man, I'm going to wrap it up. If the brothers got anything, they can go right now. But that's all I had. John 6, man. Just taking a dive into John 6 and seeing how disciples walked away from the Most High God, Son, Christ, right? So stop being carnal and, think about the long run.
Man, I think that's powerful, man. They kind of asked Christ pretty much if he was asking a rhetorical question. Like he asked, are y'all going to lead me too? And they're looking at him like, where else we going to go? Like, who else we going to follow? And they kind of just letting Christ know to be reassured that they have full belief in him and who he is and what he came to do. And they're bought in, right? And like the brother said, man, that's what we have to be exemplifying, that we're fully bought in and we actually know and believe that this man that we're following and his words, his actions, his works that we are doing as well, we're doing them for a purpose and just not for no reason. And when you have fully bought into that, you won't get gassed out. You'll have endurance just because of the belief that you have, right? And it just comes with real belief. The people that fall to the wayside, that get gassed out and exhausted, their foundation wasn't there and their belief wasn't there to begin with, right? Christ was still a figment of imagination to them. He wasn't a real person, a real entity, a real force in their life, right? He would, I mean, and they probably would deny saying this, but in their mind, subconsciously, they still viewed him as powerful as white Jesus, right? They still viewed him as a fairy tale, right?
Right.
And not for, the miracles that he's done and truly believing that they're real.
Right. If you watch the Book of Clarence or whatever, I think that's the name of it. You watch the Book of Clarence, man. Clarence, he started out pretty much saying he was gonna be the new improved Christ, right? And he was staging all of his miracles, right? But when it was because Clarence, they still killed Clarence for being a Christ. And so when it was time for Clarence to die, he saw the bigger picture spiritually, and he was like, nah, Christ is the real one. Like, Christ saved my life. Like, Christ came to me in a vision, and I know, like, that spiritual, it has nothing to do with all this physical, because Clarence was making a lot of believers follow him just based off of physical miracles that he was doing, because that's what people want nowadays, is the physical, right? But everybody know, I was talking with my rib the other day, we was watching the show. It seems like, man, when atheists or anybody becomes near to death and they know that this life, this carnal life, is perishable, man, everybody finds themselves praying to the Most High God, man. And so the thing about it is, we gotta look at the long run. I know it's easy to get caught up and look at the physical now, but we gotta look at the long run. And like the brother Denal said, if your foundation is not there, and man, you're gonna sink, right? The brother Yeshaya brought up that I almost fainted today, right? But my foundation was, I remember when I was running 2 miles a day, I did it. I increased to 4 miles a day, I did it. I've been running 6 miles a day. I've been running 6 miles a day. So today, even though I was doing my 6 miles, but I took a different course and there was a lot of hills, I had to keep telling myself, I've done this before. Even though it feel hard right now, I've done this before. And that's what it's like, having a good foundation, knowing that you've done it before. And that's called endurance. The only way to have endurance is to know that you've done it before, right? And you're not gonna faint. You're not gonna turn away, right? But you have something to say, Yash?
Con, I just want to say, man, hey, look, like John 5 say, I think it say 45, it says, do not think that I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. Verse 46 says, for had ye believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me, right? But if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe any my words, right? So to sum it up and paraphrase it, man, we got to understand that everybody wants a right now God. But even when you had Moses, right? Even when you had the right now actions, when the Most High was taking the children of Israel from the hand of the Egyptians, the people still complain. They still found some way to complain, and they seen those miracles, man. We didn't have no food. The Lord gave us manna, and then eventually they started complaining about the food we was eating that the Lord gave us to eat. So you got to realize, bro, whatever you think that you're doing now, it's not something new. There's no new things under the sun. And the brothers are bringing this out for a reason, saying, look, you got to understand that everything is not meant to be right now. Like the brother said, our brother Levi stated, a lot of times that you go through things not for a blessing, but for the lesson or the understanding of something or the building up of something. And this lesson centered around today is endurance. Look for the future things, right? Don't focus on right now. I did a video on the camp page story the other day, and pretty much I was just alluding to the fact that, man, we sometimes got to stop trying to play the role of the Most High. And we do that through our words. And that comes from frustration in situations that we're in. And we start speaking things over our life, But a lot of times these frustrations come from wanting that right now praise, wanting that right now blessing. We just got to keep enduring, man. We just got to keep enduring and remember the main goal is to get to the kingdom. Like the brother Danal said, when he's running his 2 miles, that's all he thinks about, man. You got 2 miles to get to the kingdom. If you stop, you ain't gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? So we got to continuously look for those things future, right? Futuristic. We look for the deliverance of our children and our children's children, man. And that's the blessing of it all. But I yield with that, man. Mighty lesson.
Come on, man. And with that, we say, Shalom.
The Lomster.